really move the state forward is if I have the backing of the people. I was very fortunate to get Democrats and Republicans together for the first time to approve those kind of reforms. So now I need the people.
We've obviously been talking a lot about a constitutional convention at the Bay Area Council, and this didn't come from nowhere. This came from our job is to work with the state government and your administration and the legislature to get things done. And of course, we were frustrated last summer and beyond at watching this longest in history budget delay and so forth, and the effect that it had on the infrastructure projects, which had to be delayed, and not being able to focus on key policy issues on education and the prison system and the water system and so forth. And so a lot of us, I suppose, want to know, what do you think about other reforms that you'd like to see happen? What do you think about the idea of a constitutional convention? Does it have a place? Is it necessary? Is it too far-reaching?
Well, I think that the status quo is unacceptable. I think that what we have seen is that is a dysfunctional system that has really been going in a direction of where we are creating more and more kind of wounds in ourselves, and we see it every day. And so therefore a constitutional convention, I think, is a brilliant idea. I think it is terrific that you have been out there and with the organization, with the Bay Area Council, have been out there and have been pushing that idea. I think California Forward has been talking about that, and other organizations have been talking about it. I think this is the way to go. Even though I think Senator Steinberg said that why couldn't we do that in the legislature? We could, make those changes. And I said to him, well, you should give it a shot. Yeah. There's no one is going to hold you back from giving it a shot, because we just feel, those that are more on the outside, feel that Sacramento most likely would not be able to do it because of the pressure of the special interests. And so I think that there's many things that need to be done in order to manage California better. I mean, just an example, as I said earlier, that you are trying to fix the water problem in California, and then all of a sudden there's a federal judge coming in saying, oh, I think we should protect the Delta smelt, the little fish. And I think that the Delta smelt is more important than farmers having water and workers going to work and us producing food for the world. I'm a big believer in a Delta smelt, and so therefore let's turn off the pump a certain period of time. So how do you manage a state by having a judge telling you when you should turn off the pump? Now, of course, we all recognize the fact that we have to do everything environmentally sound, and I'm the first one to agree with that. But I think that those decisions harm the state in the end. It's the same thing when you have a situation with the prisons. Sure. We have 170,000 prisoners, and all of a sudden you have 3 judges discussing should they maybe release 50,000 inmates. Well, where do you want to put those 50,000 inmates? Back into the neighborhood, the rapists and dangerous criminals that have broken into homes and have violated people's properties and all this? So we should release them, and do what? So I think it's not productive for the state to have, so many chefs in the kitchen. You have federal judges making decisions. You have the Ninth Circuit making decisions. You have another federal judge, Henderson, who is making decisions. Then you have a receiver that runs around with the $8 billion bill, says, I want to build some, health facilities for the prisons for $8 billion when we have no money and when we are taking money away from education and from the children. So where does that $8 billion supposed to come from? So, the governance of it is something awful like yesterday. We have been very careful not to give the Indian gaming tribes, too many licenses for gambling, for the slot machines. All of a sudden, a federal judge comes in and says, this is unfair to the Indian gaming tribes. You have to increase the amount of slot machines and the amount of license. I say, why? Why would we do that? I mean, everyone in California is against, gaming and increasing gaming. So all of a sudden you have a federal judge making that decision. So those are the kind of things that make it very difficult. Or, for instance, I'll give you another example, which most people here maybe don't think about. But we have all of these constitutional officers in California. I mean, think about it. I'm sitting there as a Republican, as governor. Then you have Garamendi, is a Democrat. Do you think that he's on my side and he's trying to help me? Absolutely not, because he's from the other party. So he goes out and says the exact opposite of what I say. So how is this going to help the state? When I say we have to do, this is what we have to do with education, and this is what we have to do with the budget reform, and he says, oh, this is terrible. I think we shouldn't make any cuts in education at all. I say, well, where do you get the money from? Oh, well, maybe you should raise taxes. I say, we're already raising taxes. So, that doesn't go anywhere, this conversation with him, right? But he's running for Congress now, so that's good. But anyway, no, but I mean, it's crazy. Then you have a controller that I say, okay, look, we are running out of money. We should reduce the salaries, the wages for the state employees. And the controller goes out and says, no, I don't feel like making those changes and cutting the state employees' salaries. I don't think that's fair. And I think we have enough money anyway. Then the treasurer comes down and says, yeah, me too. I don't feel comfortable with that. And then, then Garamendi comes out, I don't want to cut anything either. And so then all of a sudden, all the Democrats, the office holders, constitutional office holders, are all of a sudden on the other page deny him. So how do you lead the state? How does a coach go and win a basketball game when each one of the players is running off in different directions? You can never win a game. Never. The only way you can win a game is if every player works together. And the same is with the corporation, and the same is also with the state. And this is why I think the state is suffering because of those kind of things. So those are the issues that ought to be addressed. Those are the issues that ought to be, in a bipartisan way, address it and say, look, this doesn't work. How do we fix it? So I think that's why a constitutional convention, I think, is a brilliant idea. And I will be the first one there helping you and helping everyone here to organize it and to push this agenda forward in order to straighten out some of those things, to come up with a narrow agenda and then to go after and change those kind of things that are holding the state back.
Thank you. That's very good to hear. And we're very comfortable in America with the president picking his cabinet. In California, it sounds like a strange idea. It shouldn't sound so strange to be able to pick the leaders to run the place. What a novel concept.
You want to be a lieutenant governor?
Sure, I'll take anything,